Hey guys, so I'm going to do a Q&A in regards to PCS, anxiety, and depression. These are all tied. I don't just have depression by itself. This really trickled down and it due to my PCS or post-concussion syndrome. A lot of people kind of confuse that, and I feel like it's a very different take on depression and as well as and anxiety as well. I'm not saying that people with anxiety that didn't endure PCS or post-concussion syndrome as well as depression but didn't endure PCS as well, that theirs are any worse or better. I don't think it's like that. It's more of like it's just a different form of it, essentially. Like this, it's just a little bit different. So just an update from my last vlog. I'm way better now than I was in my last vlog. However, I'm still kind of like in that journey, but I can see the light now. So that's where I'm at. I'm not feeling like so desolate and just completely utterly hopeless anymore. Like I have that back now, which is great, because in the last vlog, I think even the last two, like I was really in a bad place. And so I'm going to do some Q&As today and just an update. I'm doing way better. And I do feel that when a lot of people, because I posted something on my Facebook and a lot of people really had some wonderful things to say, some advice, some tips that have worked for them, things that they were just sharing about their end, and they were in very encouraging words. And thank you so much for everybody. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful. And for the people that sent me some gifts, thank you so much as well. So I'm gonna do this question. Let's talk about driving. What are the challenges? Any effects? Can you legally drive? Before I answer this, I'm answering it right now, but if anybody who's enduring PCS or they have a loved one or a friend and they have knowledge on that, do share your end too if you want to. If you don't want to and you just want to watch mine or listen to mine, I do hope that we can share more of the PCS situation and really share my video, because I just want to push awareness as much as we possibly can, because I feel like when people try to talk about it to people that have never experienced, endured PCS, a lot of people get laughed at, a lot of people get brushed off and are just told this, so you just got a bump in your head. It's not that at all. So anyway, and this is why I'm doing my vlog series for this. So driving. Okay. I can drive. There are times when I have to wait. There are times in which I have to drive. The earlier that I do driving during the day, but not too early. The earlier that I do drive during the day, the easier it is for me, because I feel like my brain refreshed during the night. However, it does still take me a little bit to wake up. I also feel like ever since I was taking vitamin B12 every day that comes by, I'm not as groggy when I wake up. I'm not like as tired as when I wake up, and I'm not just like, I feel like I don't feel as dead weight as I used to. So it does help out. I don't know, my hair is just bothering me a little bit. I'm sorry. So my hair is so that does help out, but still, I still need about like an hour to 2 hours. I wake up at 7:30 in the morning, sometimes a little bit sooner than that, sometimes an hour before that. Excuse me. The latest is 7:30. So if I leave the door at 9 o'clock, excuse me, my gosh, 9 o'clock in the morning, it'll be great. If I leave at 10 o'clock in the morning or 11, it'd be great too. Noon, all that stuff. Oh my God. If it's gonna be like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I feel like in my area, that's where rush hour is, and that's where my anxiety hits, like that. And then I get really stressed out. My anxiety is through the roof, and it's harder for me to drive. I get very stressed out. I get very anxious, and sometimes I just sit in a parking lot because I really can't handle it. But I can drive. I can legally drive, and I'm really hoping that none of my doctors would actually say that I cannot drive at all, because I think that would really that would be a really bad blow for me. Challenges for me, is that I can't just drive at any time of the day. I have to wait for my mood. I have to wait for my brain to not be as foggy. I have to wait my head to be clearer and alert and alive, because, and I'm going to explain that as clearly as I can, because yesterday I was driving and I was not in a great mood. It's a good thing that my husband was there, and I told him I can't drive. So I had to stop the car, and we had to switch places. He had to drive, and I just had to, go in a different seat in the car. And I just looked out and just focused on like one inanimate object to kind of relax my head. It was just a really overwhelming, kind of very busy day, and it just really took a toll on me. So that's why. Effects of driving for me, again, it really is more of what else am I doing during the day and how long am I out. If I'm out and about, or it's like 5 o'clock in the day, it's very, very hard for me to drive. And this is another reason why I'm having a hard time trying to get like an everyday job, like a Monday, Friday, 9 to 5. The reason for that is that you can't just call in all the time, and say like, oh, I'm really stressed out right now. I just can't leave the house because my anxiety is all through the roof. You're going to get fired for missing so many days. And how am I supposed to drive home? I leave, when I'm going to be coming home, and then the day would be 4 or 5 or 6. How am I going to come home? Like, I would have a very hard time, because during that time when I'm going to be at work, because I was still working right after one of my concussions, it was really, really hard for me. And it takes a toll on your brain, and it took a toll on me a lot of times. And a lot of times, just so it didn't look really, I didn't want my coworkers to see me that way, so I would drive off, but I would go somewhere else, like in a parking lot somewhere, and I would just sit there. I would just sit there. And I didn't have my son yet, and my husband, we had like weird hours, so he wouldn't have been able to pick me up anyway, so I just had to suck it up. But I had to sit in a parking lot and just kind of grab my bearings, and sometimes it can take about an hour. It just depends on the day. If I had a very stressful day, if I had a very active day, if I had a very hectic day, and I really had a very like quick paced kind of job environment. So sometimes it would take me about an hour to just sit there, or just go in Target and just do nothing. Just kind of like sit there, or nothing, like kind of look in the peripheral vision, but I'm not really digesting information, if that makes any sense. And so that kind of helps. So I can drive, and I also can't drive. There are certain times where I really can't drive, and there's certain times where I can drive. And it really is more, again, like all the variables have to line up. The weather has to be great. My mood has to be great. There shouldn't be any fogginess in my head. I shouldn't be feeling really down or superly anxious or teetering on depression or being sad or anything. And if it's one of those, like, I just can't. What I've noticed though with PCS, when I'm sad or down, like, it feels like I don't see a light a lot of times, or it just feels like it's so dark and desolate that I don't see any hope or any future. It's a completely different situation. If you don't have any PCS and you just feel kind of down and sad, like you kind of frown, you kind of pout and things like that, but then it doesn't really feel like you want to kill yourself. Like, it's a very different mood, because I mean, I've been sad before my PCS. I've been down before my PCS, but it doesn't get this bad. And I hope I'm able to make sense of that for someone out there that has never endured this. It's a lot to understand if you've never been there, because you can't imagine the the internal torment that people like me go through. It's something that is just really, really difficult. And it really takes a toll. Okay, next question. Memory issues, what are they? Do you lose seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years? Explain long-term, short-term. Okay. My memory issues from one of my doctors have said that they assessed it as I have amnesia. I have short-term and long-term memory loss. Short-term can be, we'll have a conversation, and in that during conversation, in 2 minutes, I'll forget. I'll forget exactly what we're talking about. That has happened. It doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every time, but it happens a few times in a week. Long-term, I have certain memories that I still do not remember them at all. I have family that will bring it up, friends that will bring it up, these kind of situations, and I will just say, I have no recollection of that at all. At all. I can't even remember the day. My memory used to be like this. I'll remember a specific scenario, and there's like a bug. I'll remember like a specific scenario. So my memory used to be like really, really great, and you'll just tell me like a specific scenario, and I'll remember. Sometimes I'll remember the day, like if it was a Monday or a Friday or whatever, and I'll remember the time of day. I will remember like the color of the room, or the way the sun looked, or how bright it was, and everybody's outfits. Like I'll remember. Like that was, memory was the most proudest skill I ever had, and that's why I think it's so hard for me, because that for me was like my identity, you know, like that's my own identity. Like that was my biggest skill, is I could remember everything. And it was just, it really took a toll on me when that's my biggest fall now. I can't remember. Like there was, I think a time, what was it, a few days ago, my husband and I were just talking about something, or something happened, like we were watching TV or something, and 2 minutes later I turned to him and I asked exactly what just happened, and then he's already used to it, so he's like, no, it just happened, remember? And then I'm like, no, I don't remember. So we had to like rewind whatever we were watching, and I'm like, oh, it did happen, but I had no recollection, and it was just only a few minutes. Only a few minutes. It didn't even reach like 10 minutes, and I completely forgot about it. So do you lose seconds? I do lose seconds, minutes, hours, days. I don't know if it's years. I don't think it's years. But I've never really challenged myself to, can you remember years worth of memory? Like, I don't think I've challenged myself to do that. I would say the most is, I would say like hours to a day or days. That would be the most that I'm thinking of. But also, like, I can't remember to think, did you lose more than just a day? Like, for me, it really, that's a challenge on itself. So, and those kind of memories, a lot of times, even the short term, I still don't remember them. Even right now, like, I won't remember them again. And the long term as well, I still won't remember them as well. Has this affected marriage? Other relationships? What do you do? I believe it has affected my marriage, because there's an incident that I told my husband I wanted to kill myself, and I don't think he took me seriously until I had a knife with me, and he took me seriously. I think it has been difficult for him too. He has expressed how he feels like he's taking care of a child sometimes, not all the time, but like sometimes from time to time. And he has expressed that he's exhausted, and he feels like sometimes he's walking on eggshells. And I just have to be as honest as possible and say, I'm walking on eggshells myself for myself. And this is just who I am right now. I want to get better. It's not like this is, and I just have to remind him, like, you know how I used to be. This would not be something that I would ever want to experience. And so, you know, I just gotta, I think communication is key as much as possible. And of course, understanding. If you're surrounded by people who are narcissistic, insensitive, selfish, that kind of personality, they're never going to understand you. If you're around people that are sociopathic kind of mentality, they're never going to understand you, because they're never going to try to understand you and how it's going to happen. And so they're never going to give you sympathy. They're never going to help you in anything. So it might just be kind of a good thing in a sense in which you can separate from those kind of people. Yes, I have, the thing is with PCS, anxiety and depression that I'm enduring, is that it feels like I'm pushing everybody away because I'm having a hard time dealing with people, like when they want to deal with me. Like I feel like I have to do it in my terms. It's very strange to explain it that way. And the world doesn't work like that. So when you have to categorize when you can have a conversation or interact with a person, and it's always on your terms, like not everybody's going to be on board with that. So I do stick with Facebook, and it helps a lot just to let them know, like, I'm happy in some days, or I'm doing this in certain days, and I'm still alive and things like that. But I haven't really seen a lot of my friends in a really long, like, years. And this is due to the PCS, because it's giving me anxiety, and it just thinking about making plans right now, it's kind of stressing me out a little bit. I'm gonna do, I guess, another question. What is the one thing you push yourself to do more? The one thing I push myself to do more is to be more positive. I used to be a very, very extremely positive person. Like, people thought I was on drugs. People thought, like, I was just faking all the time. That was naturally me. I was always, like, a very bubbly person. That was my personality. And now, like, it's foreign to me to think about it. Now, I don't recognize that person anymore. So I push myself to try to be not very negative, because I feel like if I don't do that, then I get sucked into the dark hole of depression. And then that's going to be a difficult battle as it is. So that's what I try every single minute of every day. It's literally every single minute of every day that I push myself. And if I don't do that, there's going to be really, like, big trouble. And so that's why I'm extremely exhausted at, like, mid-afternoon, because ever since I wake up at 7:30 in the morning, that's all I'm doing is just be positive and push yourself, and, you know, just look at the bright stuff, happy, joy, you know, all that stuff. Like, oh, you're getting stressed, you're getting anxious, let's think of something else. Like, I just keep doing that. And because it's not natural anymore, it's being enforced and being pushed hard, it really, really drains me mentally. How is the appetite taste changes? Appetite has been an issue for me. In the past 2 months, I think I've lost between 15 to 20 pounds, around that, probably a little bit more. And it's just, I don't have the urge to want to eat anything. Like, I'll cook whatever needs to be cooked because my husband needs to eat, and he's got a busy schedule, and my son needs to eat. But for me, I don't know what it is. Like, as soon as I eat it, it doesn't taste bad or anything, but for the wanting to eat is the challenge. It's like, I just don't want to eat. So I've been sticking on certain things that I can eat. I feel like lighter things like a salad, or like tortilla chips. That's what I could eat, like, as a meal, is nachos, tortilla chips, and some melted cheese and some jardinera, and that was it. And I stopped doing that for, like, I think about almost a month now, and just kind of stuck to the salad. Now, when I say salad, it's a mountain of vegetables, and I always put hard-boiled egg in there, more like 2 to 3, depending on what I have on hand. So it's a lot of food, but it's not like, you know, it's not like a greasy food. It's not like, it's a very healthy kind of food. But then, you know, when you think about the tortilla chips, it's not like the healthiest either, but it's something light. So that's what I was really drawn to. And I've kind of noticed that if I skip a meal, I'll get like a tiny stomach ache, but then it will just like, it wasn't like how it used to be years ago. Like if I skipped a meal, my stomach ache would be so severe, I couldn't really function anymore. Now I will like, it feels like a tiny stomach ache, and excuse me, I just have like a glass of water and then it's gone. So yeah, appetite has changed. I've always loved salads. I always used to eat a salad and an entree, lunch and dinner. And that was like years ago. My lifestyle has changed. And that's just at home, you know, like that's not even at a restaurant. Like that was just how I used to eat. But it changed. I had a concussion a few years ago and it changed. And so it just kind of like whatever's quick and easy to just do it now, because it's hard for me to cook anything, prepare anything. And so it went to just an entree and an entree and an entree, and the entrees just kind of got limited due to just changes in a lot of different, just like I'll look at something and it just feels disgusting. It feels disgusting. But the weird thing is, once it's heated and someone else prepares it for me, I'll eat it fine. And then as soon as I eat it, I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. But the challenge is more of preparing it and taking the first bite, really. And the only thing that doesn't gross me out was the tortilla chips. Like right now, it's kind of like I never really liked nachos, and now like for like a month, that was all I could eat. And I would switch it from that to a salad. A salad for me is always delicious. And I'm really, really glad, because I'd rather eat a salad than eat something really terrible for me, or like something, you know, that would really mess my stomach up. So I'm glad with that. But I would skip meals too, because I just didn't have the need or the want to eat. So I've lost weight just because I just couldn't do it. It's not something that I forced myself to do. But that's just the reality of it. Feeling great, happy, energetic. The next day, the opposite, and totally horrible. Okay. There have been certain days that I feel extremely great, like that, like amazing. And either the next day or the day after that, because I took up so much energy, and for that day, I'm depleted for the next few days. Not just the next day, but the next 2 to 3 days, I'm completely depleted. There have been times in which that happened, and it's just the next day or two. There have been times that happened, and it's a full week. There have been, I don't think there's ever been a time in which the next day it's the same. If this is me consistently right now, and then I feel great, but if I'm feeling super great right here, the next day I crash. And I don't think I'm the only one that happens to that. It's a very painful ordeal, and the next day I feel extremely down. And I really push myself to not be so down, because I feel like it's just kind of crawling into depression. So, because it happened before. And so now I kind of just, you know, like I see the warning signs. And so I do take myself easy. I try not to take everything, like not be too greedy about it. Like, oh my God, I'm feeling so amazing. I'm just gonna do everything great all day, you know? Because the next day, all that effort takes a toll on your brain, on my brain at least. So that's just what I kind of notice. So if I do feel like, if this is me normally, And of course, this is down here is like being depressed. But this is me currently normally. And I'm still really off. And then I feel kind of, oh, it's elevated with it. I would prefer to be right here than over here. Because if I'm over here the next day, it all crashes down. And I am just like pretty much here. Like this. It would be waving like this. And it would just feel extremely nauseous. In the sense like you feel like you're just getting whiplash and just be dragging around and you don't know what's going on. Like it's so overwhelming because it feels like life is just being thrown in front of me and I'm just, it feels like this. It feels like I'm thrown in a mystery room that I've never seen before and then ejected in that mystery room to a different mystery room as soon as I'm trying to get my bearings. And it's gonna be like that for like the next day or two for me. So I try as much as possible, like when that happens. I know like people like me with PCS and people who have, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, anxiety and depression due to PCS, I feel like when that happens, let's just kind of pump the brakes a little bit and just take it really easy because it takes such a toll and I would really hate the next day to just be so terrible for you. Because for me, it is terrible. I mean, if it never happens to you, that's wonderful. But if this is the first time you're ever going to endure it, I would just say be a little bit more careful. Just because I don't want anybody there to feel like they are so depressed that they might harm themselves. And so I think I'm going to end it with that. I think this Q&A has gotten a little bit longer than I kind of planned. But I did answer a lot of questions. And thank you guys so much for the questions. Again, if you have PCS, if you have a loved one that have PCS, or if you have any other questions that I didn't really fulfill, let me know down below. I'll answer them as much as I can, as quickly as I can. And I hope you enjoyed this vlog, that you're going to hit the thumbs up. I hope that you are going to hit the subscribe button and the bell if you haven't yet. Thank you so much again. Thank you for the wonderful words. Thank you for the support and the love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, my GoFundMe campaign is in the description section as well as my social media accounts. If you can't assist in regards to campaign for donations, I hope you can share my link. Maybe someone that you know is able to help me. That's all I really want. And also, please share as many of my videos as you can. I want to spread as much awareness as possible when it comes to PCS. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.